Hello everybody, welcome back to the AI Only Worlds Deathmatch series. Give me 1 minute while I reset up my settings here, as this is the first time I've opened Civilization on this. God, this is so annoying. Give me 1 second
to direct your
as I get rid of all of these tips that we do not need. That is just so incredibly annoying. Alright, well, I think they're done. Hey, that's great. Right, so getting right to it. I'm on my new laptop, and the frame rate, you'll notice, is a lot better. I'm recording in, I believe, 60 FPS, which is fantastic, better than, in fact, my desktop computer. However, that being said, I am using NVIDIA proprietary software known as Shadowplay, and I do believe this causes my mouse cursor to disappear. So I want you guys in the comments below to let me know what you guys think of this. In fact, let me know if you think I should go back to DX Story, which is gonna give us around 22 FPS on my new laptop, or if I should go with Shadowplay and get 60 FPS with no mouse cursor. Tell me what's more important to you guys, and I will adjust accordingly. Now, because I am in France, I just arrived here. I am doing, like I said, I'm using a new software. This is NVIDIA Shadowplay, and I kind of like it so far. It's a pretty nice software, but getting straight to where we left off in the last episode. The Soviet Union has basically been annexed by Persia, with the exception of Moscow and some Soviet Scandinavian territories. Unaffected, of course, are also Soviet Eastern Eurasian territories over here in Siberia. And besides that, the Soviet Union, or rather England, I should say, is still at war with Persia. Persia seeks, of course, to annex the English Eastern European territories here in Ribe and Copenhagen. And London has been taken out, as has York. The British home islands are divided between North Britain, which is ruled by the Shoshone in modern-day Scotland, and Northern Ireland, and separated, of course, in two, with the Persians controlling London and all of England, Wales, and the Republic of Ireland in modern-day Great Britain. So let's go ahead and fly across the world to see exactly where it is we've left off. I'm sorry it has been a few days. I was in a plane for, close to 14 hours as I've been ferried across the world. Of course, traveling across the Atlantic Ocean doesn't take that long, but to travel as cheaply as I did requires 4 or 5 connecting flights. So like I said, I apologize that this has been so long in the making. There will be many more in the days to come. Just let me know if you guys prefer lower FPS with the mouse cursor, or to continue using this proprietary software that is much better performance-wise, but lacks a mouse cursor for whatever reason. I couldn't find out why. So, once again, Venezuela in control of South America, expanding very slowly to the west of the Andean Mountains. Of course, here in North America, we still have the Shoshone definitely in a very dominant position on the continent. Going to the west, America still has control of Philadelphia and modern-day Fairbanks, Alaska. Nothing has changed there. Korea is building up its nuclear and military capabilities here to the east of the Persian Empire. We will see they are kind of like a wild card at this moment. And France is at war with Britain. We will see how long that lasts. I know a few of you guys have recommended for me to download a few mods, and here are those annoying freaking counselors again. We do not want to deal with them. Let's go ahead and check to see who's at war with who. Like I said, I would download this mod. I will wait until the series is over. I think it was a user interface overhaul or something like that. So, Cuba at war with the Soviet Union, Germany at war with Persia, France at war with England, Persia at war with Germany, England with France, Shoshone at war with England and the Soviet Union, Korea at war with Vietnam and the Soviet Union. Right, so nothing really too special to report. It seems that the Soviet Union is being declared upon by quite a few different people here. Right, so getting back to the conflict, let's go ahead and end our turn and see how much territory shifts hands this turn. Of course, we do have a rebel problem across the border between Moscow and Persia. Of course, in the last episode, Moscow has decided to shrug off autocracy and adopt communism for themselves. I guess the cult of personality surrounding Stalin has been stripped in favor of world revolution. Let's go with world revolution. Of course, I've been mentioning in the past that there was the differing tenets in communism, the Soviet Union, socialism in one country, and world revolution. Of course, Stalin favored the socialism in one country, but let's see how far that got him here in this series. Not too far, in fact, considering Persia owns all of his land. In the last turn, Copenhagen has been taken by the Shoshone. The Shoshone now a intercontinental power, as they are basically annexing Soviet Scandinavia. Of course, they've got Shoshone Scotland here as well. I believe they might have access to atomic bombs, or at least they're pretty close to achieving atomic bombs. I don't think they've actually acquired them as of yet, so we will see how that goes. Going back here to English St. Petersburg, I guess we can call it. We're going to go ahead and end our turn and see exactly what happens. Of course, I will pan over to the east in this episode so we can take a look to see if the Soviet Union is succumbing to the Korean advance in Siberia. Of course, Korea definitely in need of more living space, it would seem. England tenaciously holding on to Ribe. I'm not sure how long they will be able to successfully defend their territory from the massive Persian advance. It doesn't seem like it will last very long. Let's go to the east now to see what is going on over here in Siberia. Of course, Germany is captive to an expansionist Persia who seeks to take over the last stronghold of Essen. Of course, Germany is still independent somehow in some way. Take a look at this. The Shoshone have set up a new city on, I guess, the Siberian peninsula. This might be the Kamchatka Peninsula. I don't even know. If you guys know, let me know. I always love to know. Of course, we have a lot of border gore here, as we have an African power in Alaska. We've got a North American indigenous power in Siberia. This world is just all sorts of confusing. Nothing really makes sense. Let's go to Africa now, where Toulouse has been captured. Of course, what was once French West Africa now belongs to Venezuela, who is in firm control of the Western African coastline and the interior. We might see a conflict between Venezuela and Kilwa pretty soon. Of course, we have a massive military buildup on the border between Kilwa and Venezuela. Going to the north, we do see that France is developing a few more military units. We've got ourselves up to Great War Infantry now, so we are a bit technologically stunted here in France. Let's go and end our turn and see where it takes us. Of course, that amazing, unique ability that Stalin has is giving the invading Shoshone, or rather the Swahili destroyers that are invading Soviet air and sea space, some attrition. Shoshone have signed peace with England. I don't believe, however, any territory was swapped. There was no territory that swapped. And it looks to me that England only possesses one tract of land. They only have one city left available now in Ribe. Very bad news for them. Let's go ahead and double check our diplomacy again. And I do apologize. I know a lot of you guys are saying that I should download this mod. It makes this a lot easier. And you know what? You're right. It's going to make it a lot easier. England is only at war with France now. And Persia is only at war with Germany. So France is a bit far away from Ribe. I think Ribe will survive. I think England is okay for the time being until Persia decides that they are no longer convenient and decides to annex them. Of course, that is discussing the fact that Korea is at war with the Soviet Union. The Soviet cities of Kubyshev and Tbilisi, of course Tbilisi, in modern-day Georgia, I believe that is the Georgian capital. They're in danger of some Korean mechanized infantry, Korean tanks, maybe even some Korean nuclear weapons. So we'll keep our eye on that. And we're also going to keep our eye on Germany, because Germany, again, only has one city that they are stalwartly defending with riflemen, just a few centuries behind the Persian technological gap here in eastern Central Siberia. Of course, the city-state of Kyzyl is still neutral, although they are allied with the Soviet Union, who has quite a bit of influence, in fact, with them. And nothing really to report over here in Eastern Eurasia. Let's go over here to the west, where we do see that the Shoshone are redeveloping this land for their own means in Copenhagen. Of course, also in modern-day Denmark as well over here. Of course, this map is really goofy. I do know that before I get too far into the series. You guys do know that this map, I did not make this map, of course. For the most part, in most of my AI-only battle maps, I make the maps. I did not make this map. That is probably the largest folly of why it looks so incredibly retarded. Of course, the Bosphorus should not have this massive landmass that cuts across it. It's really annoying. Let's go ahead and end the turn and see exactly where this takes us. I know that Persia is at peace with most of the known worlds, with the exception of Germany. You would think that because they have such a global preeminence that they would be able to just sack and conquer Germany already, but they're not. In fact, they're kind of taking their sweet time here. Of course, bombing Essen into the ground with their air force. We are now seeing some mechanized infantry outside of the city itself. It should fall next turn to the Persian Empire. Pretty soon I will be referring to Persia as the Persian world's, emirate, or, world's caliphate. I mean, they cover so much territory. It's really insane. Of course, to be a caliph, though, they would need to be a Muslim majority, and the only city that, in fact, has a Muslim majority is their capital of Persepolis. But for the most part, the Persian Empire is religiously heterogeneous, meaning that they have quite a bit of, I should say, variety in the amount of religions they follow. Mainly, most religions kind of follow nothing, with a little spattering of Islam and, I guess that's Shintoism. We, of course, do have quite a bit of Persian cities that follow Eastern Orthodoxy, as is, of course, to be expected from the civilization that basically annexed all of the Soviet Union in one war. I don't believe the Soviet Union will be able to recapture their lost territory, but you never know in civilization. We're going to watch now live over here outside of Essen. While the Persians have conquered the last German city, Germany has been removed from the game effectively. That does not, however, mean that they will be gone from the scoreboard. As we can see, the scoreboard was a bit wonky there for a second, but many of the civilizations that have been wiped out are still in the game, as they still have quite a few units, just in several places scattered throughout the map. I think the only civilization that was effectively wiped out was Texas, as I don't see Texas anywhere in the diplomacy screen. So, with that being said, Germany is no longer a independent state. Of course, Denmark is still struggling up here outside of gelling. We do have crossmovement. Nothing has changed. Let's go ahead and swing back to the more pertinent, conflicts that are being negotiated now. Of course, the Shoshone are still at war with the Soviet Union. Nothing new there. America at war with Venezuela. That could be interesting. Stalin at war with quite a few people themselves. And that's about it. I mean, okay, and Kilwa is also at war with the Soviet Union. So we will see outside of the city of Herby in Soviet Scandinavia, in modern-day Tromsø, Norway, I believe. Like I said, one of my favorite bands comes from here. Otherwise, I would have no idea what this city is. Maybe Tromsø is to the north. I don't really know. Again, I'm not from Scandinavia, so couldn't tell you. But it's a bit sad seeing this English aircraft carrier out here in the North Atlantic, when England itself is basically been reduced to city-state status. Of course, we will see if the Soviet Union is able to survive against the Kilwa Sultanate's advance into Scandinavia. It seems to me that the border war present in this series is just too damn high. The map looks terrible. We've got, Kilwa in Alaska. We've got the Shoshone in Siberia. It's a mess. it is a complete mess. But on the bright side, we're seeing some Danish trade from the last Danish city of Jelling going over to London, so that's pretty nice. Again, nothing new to report. This perhaps episode will be a peaceful episode. Going over to America, nothing really new to report over here. Let's go to the south, or I should say west, where Korea is sending a massive army into the Soviet Union. We will see this turn, how far they push. We, of course, have another Persian settler straddling the former Soviet roadway, or I guess railway, into Siberia. The Trans-Siberian Railway, I guess, is now the Persian Siberian Railway. We will see, of course, if these Korean military units make their way up into the north of Siberia, where they could more than likely take out the Soviet territory that we mentioned earlier. Let's see what they do there this turn. I believe they have open borders with Persia, or maybe they don't. Remains to be seen. If they don't, however, they can always make their way through Kizil. That would be pretty nice. Moving our way to the west now. Of course, we see another Persian settler. As many of you guys have said, Persia could basically settle the entire land, or the entire world, and their happiness would only increase. In fact, if we fuck off, I don't want to see you guys. God damn. You know, I'm not pissed off at you guys, the viewers. I'm pissed off at these freaking advisors. I don't want to see them. I want their faces just to disappear. Right, so Persia is really happy. They're at 114 happiness. Nothing new. I will remind my viewers, nothing new there. Of course, the entire world has adapted communism. It's basically Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin's wet dream, with the exception, of course, that the Soviet Union has been basically wiped off the map and Stalin is control. I know that because Stalin is in control, Vladimir Lenin would have a heart attack if he wasn't already dead. You know, of course, Lenin, when he was alive, realized that Stalin was a tyrant. There is a document that was written by Lenin right before he died that was supposed to be read out loud at the Central Committee of the Soviet Union. It was called, I believe, Lenin's Thesis, and in it he said that Stalin is crazy, Stalin is going to destroy the Soviet Union. You know, Stalin, do not trust Stalin. Stalin is, you know, a giant piece of shit. He's only going to create problems for our country. And guess what happened? When Lenin died, Stalin was like, you know, oh, Lenin is such a great friend. You know, we love Lenin. Lenin is such a great guy. He got his hands on that piece of paper, or rather an agent that was working for Stalin, a loyalist of Stalin, took that piece of paper, gave it to Stalin, and Stalin's like, oh, that's so sad that this paper is so critical of me, let's burn it in a fire. And nobody ever found out about it until, you know, the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. So that's a bit interesting. Lenin, of course, hating Joseph Stalin, realizing he was the dictator, or I guess recognizing the fact that he was a dictator, or had rather autocratic tendencies before he, I guess, took over premiership of the Soviet Union shortly after his death. Of course, that's not too important in civilization, as we have an immortal leader. Stalin has been the leader of the Soviet Union since 4000 BC, so Stalin is a bit old. He's, you know, about 6,048 years old. Maybe they're embalming him in Red Square. I don't really know what they're doing with him. Of course, he's not the only one. You know, all these leaders that you see here are all close to 6,050 years old. I have no idea how. It seems to me that Firaxis could take a lesson from other strategy games and have dynamic leadership, but, you know, that would require a lot of effort on Firaxis' part, and I just don't see that happening. So, enough of that. Let's go east, where we're seeing a relatively large military contingent of the Kilwa Sultanate in modern-day Anatolia, or rather, for those of you who are not in the know, modern-day Turkey. Stalin has lost yet another city to the Shoshone. The Shoshone are now in control of a lot of Northern Europe, and I say a lot of Northern Europe, Copenhagen, Tromsø, and, you know, Scotland. It's quite a bit of territory. Of course, for my Northern Irish viewers, I am not missing you guys. Your farmland over here in Belfast, you know, we're not forgetting you. So, outside of Aarhus, which was once a Danish city. I believe that this was actually once the capital of Denmark, back in God knows when, medieval ages probably, perhaps even the age of Vikings. Any Danish viewers, you guys can enlighten me. Of course, I'm mispronouncing Aarhus. It's probably, God, how do I pronounce this? It's like Aarhus, something like that. Relatively recently, I found out that IKEA, in America, we refer to it as IKEA, is actually pronounced IKEA. So, you know, I'm just kind of applying the same phonology to Aarhus. You know, Aarhus, maybe that's it. Maybe that's a bit of a Norwegian tryst, as my Norwegian friend informed me that my entire life I've been mispronouncing IKEA. So, any of my Scandinavian viewers, feel free to correct my abysmal American accent. Feel free, really. I don't really mind. Right, so the Soviet Union is losing yet more territory here in Scandinavia. Quite a shame, really. And pretty much all the German units have been taken out, with the exception of a German cannon. Come and take it, Persia. We will see if you are able to do so. And following my advice, or rather my, I guess, what's the word? I guess my observation, or my divination. I like the word divination. Let's pretend I'm a prophet for a second. And I just realized that Korea was going to go through Kizil. They apparently don't have military access through Persia, which seems a bit strange to me, as they're a bit buddy-buddy with Persia. They've decided to go through Kizil, or Kizil's borders. Excuse my camera. It's schizophrenic, kind of does its own thing. We'll see how long the Soviet Union survives against the Korean onslaught. Of course, to get to Kobyishev and to Tbilisi, they have to suffer through general winter, going through Kizil. They do actually have military access through Persia. They should have just done that in the first place, but they're stupid. Surprise, surprise. Artificial intelligence in Civilization 5 is stupid. I've said it. This is not a revelation to any of you guys. In fact, this is what makes this series so interesting, to see how the AI reacts in different situations, to see how silly, in fact, the AI is in most every situation, pretty much. Going back now to Korea, this is pretty much the only interesting conflict that's going on right now, discounting the fact that America is at war with the world, but nobody seems to be interested in capturing Fairbanks. So we're going to go back to the Soviet Union and see how our friend Stalin is doing, removing Korea from their premises. They want nothing to do with dumplings. They are still fine with vodka and pierogi here in Eastern Eurasia. How long that lasts, I don't really know. Of course, Kizil is also at war with Korea, and it seems to me that the Soviet Union will be able to potentially push back Korea using their city-state ally Kizil. Or Kizil, I don't really know. This is a Russian city. It's in Russian Federation. Before any of you guys ask, I did check before this episode if it was. In fact, all the city-states that you can see on this map, I have placed manually because, let's be honest, city-states pop up in random places. You know, you'll have the Vatican in Australia. You'll have, you know, Perth in, like, Italy. It's just a complete mess. So I had to place them manually. Not a big deal, again. So, with that being said, barbarians are ending their turn here. And the poor Soviet Union, poor Stalin, getting his ass kicked by Kiowa, getting his ass kicked by the Shoshone. He just cannot catch a break, it seems. We've got, you know, Africans coming in and destroying the Soviet Union. We got indigenous Native Americans coming in and destroying the Soviet Union. Everybody wants a piece of that Soviet pie. I was going to say vodka, but, you know, you can't really take a piece of vodka. You kind of just have to drink the entire thing. So let's go to the west. Again, over here in Asia, nothing new to report. We still have a massive quantity of naval units in the South Indian Ocean, or in South Indian Sea. We now see that the Persian Caliphate is expanding to the east. Perhaps they are not just content with owning all of the world. They want to own also random parts of Oceania that nobody lives in. You know, I'm talking about like Samoa and, you know, God, I'm going to piss off like all of my Samoan viewers. I know there's like going to be like, you know, maybe one or two of you. I don't even know. If there are, you know, feel free to tell me to fuck off. Go ahead. Doesn't really matter. Right, let's go back to Scandinavia, where Oslo is still under attack from a combined force of Shoshone and Swahili naval units. Of course, this is a bit funny, considering Oslo is the capital of modern-day Norway. Why the hell is it up here in Samiland, modern-day Samiland? Of course, this is like Norway or Finland. Or actually, it can't be Finland, because Finland was basically clipped off from having sea access in the north by the Soviet Union back in the Winter War and the Continuation War that happened just a few years later. Outbreak of World War II, or rather the, I guess, German invasion of the Soviet Union. I believe it was Operation Barbarossa. Their Finnish friends over in Helsinki decided it would be a good idea to get on that Hitler bandwagon and help out their fascist friends in Nazi Germany to invade the Soviet Union. Of course, they didn't really have much choice. I'm not really trying to say that they were complicit. It's just that they were choosing between the lesser of two evils. They could have fallen underneath the Soviet sphere of influence and become a Soviet republic, or they could have hopped on Hitler bandwagon and reclaimed some, territories here in southeast Finland, modern day, I guess, Russia. That still belongs to Russia. Sad day for them. But take a look at this. Kilwa is at war with Persia. This is big, big, big news. I don't need to tell you guys why. We've got a massive force over here. And of course, it wasn't Kilwa that declared war on Persia, quite the opposite. But take a look at this. I will remind my viewers, this is not a liberating force. They are not trying to free Soviet African territories that once belonged over here. This is a force to be reckoned with, an invasion force, if you will. We will balance and juggle our time between Korea, the Korean invasion of the Soviet Union, and the Persian invasion of Africa. Pretty soon, it is of my impression at least, that Persia will basically fully annex Africa for themselves. This is my impression anyways. Perhaps I will be proved wrong, but it's taking the Persian AI quite a long time to figure out how to best screw over the Swahili Sultanate. Of course, they've taken one city, Krasnoyarsk, in less than one turn, or at least 2 turns. It was like a year, maybe a few months. So that was fast, and a bit scary for Kilwa. Now, if I was Venezuela, I would decide to attack to the east when Kilwa is unprepared for such an invasion. Of course, Venezuela has denounced Persia, which basically means that after Persia is done pinching and eating off all of Africa, they'll choose to, screw over Venezuela next, launching, of course, an invasion into Venezuela and West Africa, and working their way to the south of South America. So, bad news for Venezuela. You really shouldn't have pissed off the only army in the world that has giant death robots. Not a very good idea. But now would be the time for the entire world to rise up against Persian hegemony. Of course, even if the entire world was to declare war upon Persia, would they win? I don't think so. In fact, leave in the comments below if you guys even want me to continue this series, as I can always... Sorry about that, I cleared my throat. As I can always work upon making a new series that is less obvious in who is going to win. Of course, next series for AI Spectator... I guess my next AI Spectator Civilization match will be with Fallout. I have decided to do this. I know a lot of you guys want Game of Thrones. I will do that soon. But I really like, I really like Fallout. The Fallout universe is great. I would like to do a Fallout Civilization Deathmatch series. It'd be pretty cool. Of course, Ragusa has been taken over by Persia. Very interesting. And Korea is at peace with the Soviet Union. They seem to have not been able to pierce past the Iron Curtain. Of course, the Iron Curtain was basically, quite a bit less than iron when Stalin decided to surrender to the Persian Empire, thus giving Persia all of these really nice cities to the north with no bloodshed. I would have, if I was Stalin myself, I would have said no step backward, comrade, and shot anybody who decided to even think about making peace with the Persians. It seems a bit ironic almost that a country that shot its own soldiers for retreating decided to basically just up and give 70% of its territory to the enemy. That just does not bode well to me. It doesn't seem like what Stalin would do. Stalin, of course, was a I don't want to piss off my Russian viewers. I think most of you guys think he was, a complete autocratic piece of shit, a dictator and all that. And he was. So we're not going to really get into that. I know a lot of you guys might think that he was a pretty good guy. I don't know. He did, of course, lead the Soviet Union in World War II, better known in your country as the Great Patriotic War. But he was a bad guy. I mean, he killed a lot of Soviet citizens. He committed atrocities. He sent a lot of men to their death in the Siberian death camps that were allotted across Siberia at that moment in time. Enough of that. Let's go over here to Africa, where Persia is pushing in to Africa. Of course, they've got the Persian rugs and shisha already lined up and ready to go. They will pave their way across Africa with Persian rugs. Of course, they use these rugs as their form of transportation, it seems, or perhaps at this point in time, with their technology taken into account, they might even have flying carpets or, Persian magic carpets. I don't know. I'm not the person to ask. I'm quite honestly the most opposite of Persian you could get culturally, although I do love to eat kebab. Kebab is amazing. You guys should try it. Of course, if you're European, you've probably already tried it, and if, you're from the Middle East, of course you've already tried it. So, right. We're getting to the point where I'm going to need to wrap up this episode. Again, guys, I do remind you, let me know in the comments below if you guys want me to continue this series. I think I should probably do at least a few more episodes. But it's fairly obvious at this point who's going to win, of course. When I go to the demographics here in a second, you will see it's day and night. The Persian world empire is in control of basically everything, and they're at war with one of the last civilizations that could do anything about it. And it's going pretty decisively. So again, to remind you guys, in the comments below, let me know if you guys want me to continue the series. Let me know if you guys want me to go back to DX Story, thus sacrificing all of this glorious frame rate that I'm going to use so you guys can see my mouse cursor. I know for a few of you guys, the mouse cursor is like a huge thing. You got to have the mouse cursor. It's so important. Even in a game that you're essentially spending 30 minutes watching me fly around a world, spectating about AI, you got to have that mouse cursor. So let me know if that's super important to you guys. And I also respect DX Story, thus switching to 24 FPS and a mouse cursor. So I know it's important to a few of you guys. I don't mean to make fun of you. Let's go over now to the demographics as always. Holy shit! What a surprise! Persia's in the lead, and they're in the lead by quite a bit. Really, I don't really have to spend too much time jabbing about how Persia is the world leader in everything except for approval, because we all know that I am the leader of approval because I've got a nuclear submarine surrounded by the Mountain of the Gods, and nobody is happier than this, Roman submarine crew. They've never really seen their home. Of course, their home is in the hands of the dirty French. I guess I really shouldn't call them too dirty. I'm currently living in France. Right. So, with that being said, let's go now to the cultural screen so we can see how much happiness. Holy shit. We started off this episode and Persia had a happiness of 11, and now they're at 170. So it seems that taking large swaths of Africa and taking German territory and destroying Germany really makes them happy. Really makes them happy, which is really cool. I'm happy for them. Honestly, I'm happy for them. So enough of that. Really, I don't know what else I could show you guys in terms of parameters. You can see that Persia's got a lot of tourism. Nothing really new to report. Let's go now to the last screen that I usually show. It's global politics. We can see who's at war with who. Of course, Persia is at war with Kilwa. Germany is friends with Venezuela, but that means absolutely jack, as they no longer have a city. France is at war with England. Nothing really new to report. Persia's at war with Kilwa. They backstabbed them, by the way. Not too reliable. And look at all these wonders that they are pooping out. Quite a bit, if you ask me. England is at war with France. Nobody cares about Denmark. The Shoshone are friends with a lot of people, including the Persians. We'll see how that goes for them. Let me give you a hint. It's not going to go very well. America at war with the Soviet Union and Venezuela. And nobody cares about Vietnam, Stalin at war with Cuba in America, and Venezuela at war with America. Let's see what's going over here in America. Everything's going great. We don't really care. We are pooping out riflemen, and life is great in Philadelphia. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching, and take into account the fact that you are getting better FPS with this program, but I know that it's not giving you the cursor. I'm going to try to reinstall the program. If any of you guys use NVIDIA Shadowplay, let me know how I can enable my mouse cursor. For those of you guys who do not use it or do not know about it, it doesn't even have an option, as far as I could see, to turn it on. It is the most bare bones and easy to use video recording program I've ever seen in my life. It's basically you just hit a tab and it's like, okay, you're recording. So, if there's any way that I can enable my mouse cursor, please let me know. I've looked on the internet, believe me. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. See you on the next episode.